The Balkans have long been a region associated with conflict and unrest. From territorial disputes in the 19th century to the brutal series of wars in the 1990s, the Balkans have struggled to maintain peaceful terms, and terms that were agreeable to all at that. The complete mix of ethnicities, religions, and cultures amongst Balkan nations means that disagreements over territories and independence have long been a source of tension. But what exactly and where exactly are the Balkan countries? The Balkan Peninsula is in southeastern Europe, bordered by Italy to the northwest, Ukraine to the northeast, and Greece and Turkey to the south. Because of geopolitical complications, the exact boundaries of the Balkan region are subject to some debate. However, it's generally agreed that the 11 countries making up the Balkans are Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, Albania, Macedonia, Greece, Bulgaria, and Romania. Within these countries are a variety of languages, religions, cultural beliefs, and ethnicities. The three most common religions are the Christian Orthodoxy, Catholicism, and Islam. As we can see, the intricate differences between the Balkan countries mean that coexisting peacefully together requires extreme sensitivity towards the rights and expectations of each state. Unfortunately, that's not always been managed as well as it might, often with tragic and, just disastrous results. To get a clearer idea of what's led to so many conflicts in the region, we'll go back to the 19th century. Russia defeated Turkey in the Russo-Turkish War from 1877 to 1878. Prior to the war, Turkey held the bulk of Balkan states. When Russia emerged as the victor, the Congress of Berlin was set up to reorganize the Balkans. The Balkans were regarded as a key region because of the access to various sea routes and the proximity to both Europe in the west and Turkey in the east. This division, or this divvying up, was done by the European powers of Russia, Britain, France, Germany, Italy, and Austria-Hungary. The Balkans were divvied up to new territories, with each state being given some form of autonomy. Unfortunately, this was done to suit the needs of European powers, with scant regard for the actual wants of the countries involved. For example, Serbia, Bosnia, and Herzegovina had nationalist ideals and were angered by the territories that they'd lost. On top of that, the Balkans were still under foreign administration. Turkey was permitted to continue overseeing Macedonia, while the powerful Austria-Hungary assumed control of Bosnia and Herzegovina. This really soured relations between the two, ultimately leading to Austria-Hungary annexing Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1908. Serbia was aggrieved at the annexation and appealed to its main ally Russia to step in. This led to the remaining European superpowers siding up with either Russia or Austria-Hungary and was the catalyst for World War I. With the collapse of Austria-Hungary at the end of the Great War, the Balkans required a further reshuffle. It was decided that a new state be formed. The Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes were created, otherwise known as Yugoslavia. It consisted of 6 republics: Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, and Macedonia. Now, this union brought together an incredibly diverse group of people, including Albanians, Bosnian Muslims, Macedonians, Croats, Hungarians, Montenegrins, Serbs, and Slovenes. This was, however, broken up by Nazi occupation in World War II. And after the war, Yugoslavia was once again subjected to a new rule. This time, it was under a communist government, headed by Josip Tito. The new-look Yugoslavia was something of a rarity throughout the Cold War years, a communist-governed country that shunned alignment with the Soviets and traded with the West. Tito proved to not just be a popular leader, but was also very capable of holding a country together, comprising of republics with mixed ethnicities, ideals, and religious beliefs. A key factor behind this was the communist anti-nationalist ethos, which discouraged the rise of any nationalism due to the eclectic ethnic makeup of Yugoslavia. Things came to a skidding halt, though, when the Cold War ended. Communism fell by the wayside, and the fight for control of the region began. In 1990, Yugoslavia's most prosperous republics were Croatia and Slovenia. They began a push for a more decentralized government. Serbia was the largest of the republics, and its leader, Slobodan Milosevic, demanded a more controlled, centralized government. Croatia and Slovenia suspected that this would ultimately mean more Serbian rule over the Balkans. Milosevic had already raised eyebrows with his attempts to limit the control of Kosovo Albanians in the autonomous Kosovo region. He claimed that the Albanians were persecuting Kosovo Serbs, and they sought to decrease their control. In 1991, Croatia and Slovenia declared independence. Croatia's considerable Serb population demanded that Croatia stick by Serbia and protested angrily. Then, in 1992, Bosnia became the third republic to break away by claiming independence. The Balkans were about to be thrown into turmoil yet again. Despite the international community recognizing the legitimacy of Bosnia's independence, war broke out, naturally, as human beings do, and it broke out in Bosnia. Roughly half of Bosnia's population was Muslim, with a third being Christian Orthodox Serbs and the remainder Catholic Croats, or Croats, or Croti-Gotis. I don't know. Milosevic sent in Serbian forces to Bosnia under the guise of freeing ethnic Serbs, and the city of Sarajevo was torn apart. The initial battles were between Serbian forces on one side and Bosnian Muslims and Croats on the other. However, with the Croatian backing, the Bosnian-based Croats then turned on the Bosnian Muslims in an attempt to seize control. Serbian forces took over Sarajevo, and the city remained under siege for almost 4 years. At least 10,000 civilians were killed during gun battles and endless mortar attacks. In 1993, the United Nations were forced to intervene. Safe zones were set up for persecuted Muslims, and Serb forces were warned to stay away. Now, naturally, the Serbs paid no attention and embarked on a horrific spree of ethnic cleansing that hadn't been seen in Europe since the Second World War. In July of 1995, 8,000 men and boys were slaughtered in the town of Srebrenica in eastern Bosnia. The United States decided to act. They launched a series of air raids and ground attacks that finally resulted in Serbia agreeing to peace terms. They should have 8,000 of their own people murdered. Jeez, man. But, this peace was short-lived, as one can imagine. In 1998, war erupted again in Kosovo, located in southern Serbia. Kosovo's Albanian Muslims wanted independence from Serbia, which was largely rejected by the Serbian people. The history between these groups was strained at best. After World War I, Kosovo became a part of the Serbian region of Yugoslavia. The Kosovo Albanians wanted a union with Albania, but they were refused, and thousands were expelled. Then, during the Nazi occupation of World War II, the land was handed over to Italy-controlled Albania, whose forces were in turn either killed or imprisoned thousands of Serb civilians. When war broke out in 1998, the Kosovo rebels fought bitterly with Serb forces, resulting in over 13,000 deaths with hundreds of thousands left homeless. NATO attempts to negotiate peace were ignored by Milosevic, eventually pushing them once more to the tactic of bombing the Serbs into surrender. In 1999, a concentrated and brutal air attack commenced on the Serbian Republic, which would later become one of the most controversial acts carried out by the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. By June, Serbia finally agreed to withdraw and enter peace talks. The 1990s Balkan Wars were by far the most bloody and destructive in the region's tumultuous history. Since then, peace actually has been maintained, though. Although, of course, tensions continue to exist, particularly between Serbia and Kosovo. The rivalries brought about by the religious and ethnic differences certainly haven't been restricted to the Balkans. The Middle East, certain parts of Africa, and the India-Pakistan borders have also experienced lengthy periods of hostilities. History has shown that the acceptance of other cultures amongst different groups of people is typically hard to get. It's just, people suck. We suck. This is why even the most grudging periods of tolerant peace are so greatly appreciated.